Hello gamers, Matthew here from Grey Army Gaming. It is time for the July Sci-Fi Solo Big Show. Now I've got a whole bunch of notes here that I want to get through to introduce this idea for the July Sci-Fi Solo Big Show. But basically it's a very simple idea. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be having a round-robin solo RPG experiment in a sci-fi setting where we together build a story and see where it goes. Now, I'm going to start out our story and then pass on the torch to the next person who has 72 hours. So basically 3 days to record and upload a video on YouTube, and then I'll go ahead and make something of a playlist where we can follow along one another's solo RPG sessions and build on it. Now, as you can see here, I've got this Numenera mat that I've got on the table now, and here is the reason why, because I'm going to be trying out a new RPG system, the Numenera, the Cypher system, and that's going to be the one that I'm going to be starting off with. Now, the idea here, though, is that any RPG system works. You don't have to have the Numenera system. You can use any system at all. If it's old school essentials, if it is Dungeons and Dragons, if it is something altogether different, take whatever system you feel most comfortable with and roll with it. There are really only 4 rules that I have as we go through this. The first rule is that we need to be faithful to the setting. Now, we are going to be playing in a sci-fi setting, or the Numenera world, which is a mixture of sci-fi and kind of medieval fantasy. Stay faithful to the setting, use the items and the feel of the setting, and be consistent with that. Rule number 2 is to be consistent with the previous narrative or narratives. So what's cool about this experiment is that we are building upon one another's ideas and one another's sessions. So be consistent with what people have done before you, the ideas and threads that they have thrown out. Pick those up and use them and work with them and build upon them. Rule number 3 is to keep your session to 15 minutes. Now, I know this is going to be a challenge for some of us. We are used to very long sessions, but 15 minutes is going to be the max for each session. That might be a bit of a challenge. You might feel like there's not much you can do in 15 minutes, but let me tell you and assure you, there is a ton that can happen in 15 minutes. And fourth, the last rule, the most important one, is don't worry, have fun with this. We're not here to impress anybody. We're just here to have a good time this summer and to really enjoy solo role-playing. So the overall idea with this, you could say, is that we are trying to show others how easy and rewarding it is to solo role-play and really to have a lot of fun ourselves with this. So in the first video that is coming up, when I start the first session off, I'll give you a lot more information about background and the setting and all of that. But here I can give a little bit of a glimpse into what I have in mind regarding the setting, the character, and the catalyst for the story. Let's start out with the setting. Now, the story will take place in the 9th age of the Numenera world. Now, the lore of Numenera is fantastic. I love it. I just came across it recently, and I've really been enjoying it. Basically, Numenera is a combination of medieval fantasy and sci-fi. So there have apparently been 8 previous worlds or ages where there have been civilizations that have built up massive technologies that have since then gone extinct and left artifacts and technology all over the place. And what is really cool is that there's a ton of artifacts, there's a ton of technology out there. It's just it has to be discovered, it has to be used. It's not obvious that we live in a super technologically advanced society. The technology is there, we just have to find it and use it. So in this sense, technology and magic are inseparable or almost indistinguishable in this world. When you use technology, it is experienced a lot like magic. And I think this is really cool because if you are more of a fantasy player and you want to use magic, well, you can have technology now that has a similar role. So what this means is there's going to be a mix of old and new technology, old and new architecture, old and new artifacts, etc., etc. So there are so many possibilities for the setting that we can use as we develop this story. And I'll explain a lot more about that when we play our first role-playing session when I start us off. Second off, let's say something about our character. The main character for this story is going to be a human man. with the name of Vector X. So that is his name, Vector X. And here is a picture of how he looks, approximately. Now let me go ahead and read you a little bit of the hook that I've written for Vector X that you can think about as you begin to brainstorm your solo sessions. So here we go. Vector X is a creature of the streets. Abandoned by his family at the early age of 5, he joined the amorphous group of societal rejects known as the Underfolk. While most people of respectable society regard the Underfolk as nothing more than thieves, con artists, and tricksters, at the heart of the people is a deep knowledge of the magical or technological arts. With so many years embedded within the Underfolk, Vector X has himself gained a nuanced understanding of the mysterious and the illusory, as well as how to turn any situation to his favor by working behind the scenes. Now, as we play our game, we will all fill this in quite a bit with our own information and the own backstory as it sort of takes form in our solo role-playing. But the idea here with Vector X is that he's not a super strong individual as far as might or brawn goes. But he is extremely stealthy and dexterous. He knows the way to work within the streets with tricks and with illusions, with deception. So he's very good at those kind of skills. If you take a look at the character sheet that I will provide in the folder, if you want to join this, you can see some of the skills and the ideas that I have in mind for Vector X. So it's going to be a really fun kind of character of a lot of sneaking around, a lot of deception, some combats, of course, probably, but a lot of behind-the-scenes trickery and illusory work, which could be really exciting and fun in a sci-fi setting. And third, let's go to the catalyst. Now, I will start off the campaign and build upon the catalyst a bit in the first session. But what I had in mind was just this, and I'll read you the background for the catalyst. And it is as simple as this. Several expeditions preparing to explore old ruins and odd mysteries have in the past asked Vector X to join them because he has always seemed like a promising addition to the teams. Vector X has never taken up the offer, but 2 weeks ago, he finally gave in and agreed to go along with the next mission. Now, the idea here is that Vector X has received a cryptic invitation from the leader of this adventuring party, an invitation to gather in the central library of the city where Vector X has lived his entire life, and the city we will give the name Telenar. And so Vector X has decided to take up the offer, but as we will find out, and I don't know exactly how, as we will find out, things do not go as they seem. So that will be the catalyst, and I will be developing that in our first session, session 0, we could call it, before all of you jump in session 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Let's say a few practical things about how this is going to go. I'm going to start with the Numenera system, with the Cipher system. And the thing about this is it's kind of a crazy idea because I've never played this before. So I will most likely make a ton of mistakes. But that is entirely okay. That seems to be the whole point of this, is that we don't have to know a system perfectly to solo roleplay. Just grab a system and go with it. So I'm really excited to learn a brand new system and to try it out. Now, what's cool about this system is that it is a D20 system. So a lot of us will recognize it. It'll be familiar for many of us. There's a lot of mechanics that are quite similar, but it's different enough that it actually has some really interesting mechanisms that I'll be drawing upon. But I will be supplementing the Cipher system, the Numenera system, with most likely with the Mythic Game Master emulator, the Fate chart, and some of the charts in there, as well as some various oracles and oracle cards, such as cards like these that I picked up from Drive-Thru RPG. And I'll be supplementing with maybe a few other devices as well. But the idea here is not to get hung up on the devices that you're using, not to get hung up on the system, but try to use them as a way to tell an interesting and fun story. So like I said, use whatever system that you want to use. There's no pressure that you have to use the Cypher system or the Numenera system. Whatever you feel comfortable with, go with that. And the most important thing then is if you make a change in the system, just try to connect the character sheet to your system and make a translation over to your system. Let's mention something about the dates. Hopefully in the next few days after this video releases, I will be able to get my video made and uploaded to YouTube. After that now, we have the month of July to play around with our solo role-playing. And here are the dates that I have set aside for the release of these videos. July 1st, July 4th, July 7th, July 10th, July 13th, July 16th, July 19th, July 22nd, July 25th, July 28th, and July 31st. So with the first session in these dates, that will be a total of 12 sessions. Now, if there's a lot of interest and a lot of people that want to be a part of this experiment, we could easily go into August, and that is no problem. That would be a lot of fun. But right now, we'll just see if we can fill up the month of July. 12 sessions is a pretty good number for getting a good arc. But like I said, if there's more interest and the story is not finished, we can go well into August and finish up the summer. So the question I guess I have for you now is, do you want to join this experiment? Do you want to join this July Sci-Fi Solo Big Show? If so, please feel free to email me directly. And my email address that I will be using for this is grayarmygaming@gmail.com. And go ahead and send me your top 3 preferences for dates that you would potentially like to use for the summer. And I will try to then slot you into a place that fits with your own schedule. Once you have emailed me and you are signed up and you're ready to go in this experiment, then I will give you access to the schedule that I will be setting up, and I will give you access to the folder where you can find different supplies for the setting and the character, different pictures, different ideas that can help you get started. So there you go, folks. This is going to be epic. This is going to be a really great month in July. Join us, join the play this summer as we all together create the July Sci-Fi Solo Big Show. And most importantly, thank you for joining us here today at Gray Army Gaming for the future of gaming.